Hey, what's up, good people? It's Mike here, back in the garage again. And today we have a pretty simple job to do. I'm gonna be putting on a custom brake line from Galfer USA. It's a stainless steel line that I ordered from them, and they made it custom to my specifications. You can go on their website and they have an order form if you want to get one for yourself. Pretty simple job. And then after that, I want to talk to you a little bit about a new series that I'm planning to put together. I've got a couple of folks lined up, and I want to talk to you about what we're going to be doing with that series, and just to give you a little bit of an insight of some things to come that's going to have a little bit of a different feel to it than just watching work being done on the bike. Still motorcycle related, but a little bit different. So let's go ahead and jump into this install, and then we'll bring you back and talk a little bit about the series that I've just mentioned. All right, first we gotta take off this old banjo bolt. Just had it in there to keep anything from sort of building up in there. And then get this new baby in there. So comes with all the washers that you're gonna need. Copper crush washers. So you got one on each side of the banjo bolt, essentially, one on the inlet and one on the outlet as it goes up against the brake caliper. So get that in there. Just loosely for now, just so we can still maneuver it around and pivot up through the upper handlebars where it needs to go. All right, then we're gonna bring this up under the whole mess of wires that is everything coming from the handlebars. Make sure it has a good path without any kinks in there, and bring it over to this master cylinder and get it installed. I think I want to twist this around the other way, so I may have to take that one off the lower banjo, or the lower, and redo it, but we'll see how this goes here. So again, taking off this existing banjo bolt, which I had in there just to keep any crud from getting into the rebuilt master cylinder. Again, two washers, one on each side. One on the inlet, one on the outlet. And get that threaded in. And that's that for the most part. So the line is installed on both sides, and now we have to fill up the master cylinder with brake fluid and bleed the brakes to make sure that we have good pressure. I don't have like a fancy thing, so all I'm going to do is fill it up and use the lever here to just squeeze it and get the pressure, get all the air out of the line all the way down. So we'll do that now. So this is my setup here. I just have this little cheap brake fluid catcher, little reservoir thing that I got from the auto parts store. And then that hose connects to the nipple, the bleeder nipple on here. Got my 8mm wrench on there, and so as I pump the handle up top, as I put the brake lever up top, I just crack that open, close it, crack it open, close it. Rinse and repeat. This bike in particular, you can use either .3 or .4 brake fluid on there. So I just grabbed some .4 again from the auto parts store. So we'll go with that. As far as I've been able to tell, brake fluid is brake fluid as long as you stick with the correct specification. If it calls for .3, you have to use that. If it calls for .4, you have to use that. In this case, I can use either, so it doesn't really make a difference. One of the other things that I learned through just working with some of the old school dudes that I know who work on bikes is that brake fluid is what they call hygroscopic, which means it pulls moisture from the air. And so once you break the seal on your brake fluid, it doesn't have a terribly long shelf life. I couldn't swear to that. I don't know what the shelf life is, but when you get moisture in the brake fluid, it has a lower boiling point than the actual brake fluid itself. And so if that moisture gets into your lines and you start to do some heavy braking, then you can it'll reach the boiling point, which is detrimental to your brakes. I don't know if that's like under racing conditions or like how hard you actually have to stress your brakes to get to that point, but that's why you generally don't want to use old brake fluid in your lines due to that hygroscopic nature of the brake fluid. So now I'm going to start pumping this lever. You pump it up a few times and you hold it down, crack the bleeder nipple open, let the air rush through, and you continue to do that. So this will take a while actually before it starts getting into the line and start making it firm up. I remember the first time I did this, I was like, is this even working? It just stays soft for so long. You can buy like vacuum pumps to make your life a lot easier. You put it on the brake nipple, fill up the reservoir, and just turn on the vacuum pump. And boom, it just sucks it all the way through the line. So that's a lot easier, but again, you saw the setup I'm working with. All right, and now you should be able to see a little bit of fluid finally making its way into the lines, along with some bubbles and looks like some schmutz in there as well. I don't know if that schmutz is from this dirty line, just being laying around in the garage, or if it's actually made its way through this hose somehow. Maybe I had some schmutz inside the brake reservoir, but I'm gonna push all that through. Yeah, there we go. See those air bubbles coming through. So we'll keep this up until no more air bubbles are coming through, and then we get a firm feel up at the brake lever. Pumping it, hold the lever in, crack it open, let the air and the fluid rush through and close it. And it looked like that schmutz is actually on the outside of the line, so that's good. All right, so now you can see after a bunch of pumping that the brake level has dropped down. So in order to prevent from getting any air reintroduced into the line, you always want to top it back up before it gets all the way down to the point where it's below the little intake hole or inlet hole or whatever, so you don't suck any air into the line. And then you just continue on. So you can see here I've filled the reservoir back to the top, put the lid back on, and now the brake lever has a nice firm feel, meaning that fluid has made its way all the way through the lines. There's no more air in the lines, and it's actually now squeezing the brake pads up against the brake rotor. So nice firm feel, that's what you want. And then that way you know you're good. And that's it. So last step I'll do here is just put this little cap back over the bleeder nipple, and that just keeps any sort of dust and debris out of there as you're riding. One other thing I'll say about brake fluid is that it's fairly corrosive, so be careful if you have painted surfaces. This is powder coated, so I'm actually not quite sure how it would react with that surface, but if you have painted surfaces, be careful with brake fluid because it is corrosive. If you do get some on your painted surfaces, just wash it down with water, and you should be in good shape. I'm also going to hit the caliper real quick with just a little bit of brake cleaner where I had that little reservoir magnetized to the caliper or the brake rotor, and just to clean off any brake fluid that might have gotten on there and caused any slick spots. So let's clean that up real quick. All right, so that's pretty much it for the brake line. Obviously, pretty straightforward job. Just a lot of repetitions with squeezing the lever and cracking open the bleeder nipple. Not too big of a deal. Be aware of those implications around keeping brake fluid around for a long time, because again, it's hydroscopic. You don't want to pull in water in your brake lines when you're supposed to just have that fresh brake fluid in there. The other series that I'm getting ready to kick off is a series that I haven't titled yet, but it's really taking a look at other riders in the area. Some of this has to do with business ventures that they have going on. Some of it's just really the rider, the bike lifestyle. Want to take a look at a few people's builds and things like that. So some of these are my friends that I've made in Cincinnati, and really just want to get a look at what it is that they're doing, highlight some of the things that they're doing or they have done, and just to bring a little bit more variety and a little bit more flavor to the channel. So keep an eye out for that content. I'll make sure to obviously post updates when they're ready to go out. I've been working on some pre-production for some of those, and I've got some amazing things lined up for you guys. I know you're going to enjoy it when you see it, so keep an eye out for it. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button, share it, and have other people subscribe as well. And then you can also click the bell, and that way you'll get notified whenever I post additional content. Appreciate you hanging around here to watch this quick video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Keep riding and be safe. Peace.